hold social media providers liable for ensuring that their platforms are safe to use. Others include protecting children under the age of 13 and restricting access to harmful material. And Afif Arvin joins us live on Kuala Lumpur. Afif, this online safety bill is covering lawmakers in Malaysia have passed legislation to broaden regulation of harmful content on the internet. But the online safety bill will hold social media providers liable for ensuring that their platforms are safe to use. Others include protecting children under the age of 13 and restricting access to harmful material. And Afif Arvin joins us live on Kuala Lumpur. Afif, this online safety bill covering existing legal loopholes.
Well, it's been a long time in the making, with the government recognizing the growing need to regulate harmful content on the internet due to widespread use of social media across all ages. But the urgency surrounding this bill was intensified after a tragic case of when an influencer, Najihah or Asia, who is believed to have taken her own life following cyberbullying. Now, the minimal fines imposed on the perpetrators had sparked public outrage, and that had really pushed the government to take action. So, throughout the year, we saw how Malaysia has introduced new regulations, for example, requiring social media and messaging platforms to apply for a government license and developing a code of conduct for these platforms. But on Monday, amendments to the Communications and Multimedia Act were passed, and this really cleared the way for the online safety bill to be tabled in Parliament. So the bill was read for a second time on Wednesday and was passed in Parliament, although with some resistance. And essentially, what the bill aims to do is to close any illegal loopholes. It proposes the creation of an online safety committee and appeals tribunal, while also outlining the responsibilities that service providers have to report any sort of harmful content. So in this case, the term harmful content has a very broad definition. It includes child abuse material, financial fraud, indecent content, content that promotes violence, terrorism, harassment, as well as self-harm. It also allows the authorities to investigate non-compliance and to execute search and seizure warrants with a magistrate's approval. In Parliament on Wednesday, Law Minister Dalila said that, well, many people in Malaysia understand the various forms of online threats. Many still feel powerless to protect themselves from these threats, and they have expressed that they need guidance and support to identify and report online crimes. She also talked about how many other countries around the world, like Australia, Canada, UK, the neighbouring Singapore, have enacted similar laws to protect citizens from increasing cyber threats. So let's listen into what she said in Parliament earlier.
Kita berdua dunia digital ni ada ruangan yang kita kongsi bersama. Tanpa mengira usia, latar belakang atau pendidikan, ia dalam ruang kita bekerja, berhubung dan berkembang maju. Tanpa tanggungjawab, kita akan terbuka kepada lebih banyak kejahatan. Undang-undang ini kita usahakan bukan sekadar dengan izin dan piece of paper, tetapi satu komitmen bersama oleh kita sebagai ahli lingkungan untuk melindungi setiap rakyat Malaysia daripada ancaman cyber. Opposition MPs are posing some resistance there, largely because one of the concerns is that the notion of harm and harmful content might be construed so broadly that it might be misused perhaps by government authorities.
Well, indeed, the bill was passed, but after significant resistance from the opposition bloc. We know in Parliament, a total of 77 MPs only voted in favour, 55 against, and there were 90 MPs absent during the vote. The opposition's main concern is the potential for Malaysia to slip into what one lawmaker called a digital dictatorship. One lawmaker argued that the definition of harmful content is unclear and at this point subjective. He also questioned who gets to define what is harmful. And this ultimately reflects the opposition's fear that the new laws could be used to target them, making them very vulnerable to online political attacks. Now, NGOs and civil society groups have also expressed very similar concern over this vague definition of what harmful content is. They warn that the broad language could lead to the law being abused. They also caution that the bill might allow the government to manipulate content moderation system to perhaps censor critical speech, particularly from people opposing those in power.
Thanks for Afif Arvin reporting live from Kuala Lumpur on the passing of an online safety bill that will give authorities greater oversight over what is considered harmful content on the internet. Harmful content on the internet. But the online safety bill will hold social media providers liable for ensuring that their platforms are safe to use. Others include protecting children under the age of 13 and restricting access to harmful material. And Afif Arvin joins us live in Kuala Lumpur. Afif, this online safety bill covering existing legal loopholes.
Well, it's been a long time in the making, with the government recognizing the growing need to regulate harmful content on the internet due to widespread use of social imposed on the perpetrators. It sparked public outrage, and that had really pushed the government to take action. So throughout the year, we saw how Malaysia has introduced new regulations. For example, requiring social media and messaging platforms to apply for a government license and developing a code of conduct for these platforms. But on Monday, amendments to the Communications and Multimedia Act were passed, and this really cleared the way for the online safety bill to be tabled in Parliament. So the bill was read for a second time on Wednesday and was passed in Parliament, although with some resistance. And essentially, what the bill aims to do is to close any legal loopholes. And it proposes the creation of an online safety committee and appeals tribunal, while also outlining the responsibilities that service providers have to report any sort of harmful content. So in this case, the term harmful content has a very broad definition. It includes the child abuse material, financial fraud, indecent content, content that promotes violence, terrorism, harassment, as well as self-harm. It also allows the authorities to investigate non-compliance and to execute search and seizure warrants with a magistrate's approval. In Parliament on Wednesday, Law Minister Dalila said that while many people in Malaysia understand the various forms of online threats, many still feel powerless to protect themselves from these threats, and they have expressed that they need guidance and support to identify and report online crimes. She also talked about how many other countries around the world, like Australia, Canada, UK, the neighbouring Singapore, have enacted similar laws to protect citizens from increasing cyber threats. So let's listen into what she said in Parliament earlier.
Yang berdua dunia digital ini ada ruangan yang kita kongsi bersama. Tanpa mengira usia, latar belakang atau pendidikan, ia adalah ruang kerja, umur dan berbagai macam. Tanpa tanggungjawab, kita akan terbuka kepada lebih banyak negara. Undang-undang ini kita usahakan bukan sekadar dengan izin hanya piece of paper, tetapi satu komitmen bersama oleh kita sebagai ahli yang hormat untuk melindungi setiap rakyat Malaysia daripada ancaman cyber. Opposition MPs posing some resistance there, largely because one of the concerns is that the notion of harm and harmful content might be construed so broadly that it might be misused perhaps by government authorities.
Well, indeed, the bill was passed, but after significant resistance from the opposition bloc. In Parliament, a total of 77 MPs only voted in favour, 55 against, and there were 90 MPs absent during the vote. The opposition's main concern is the potential for Malaysia to slip into what one lawmaker called a digital dictatorship. One lawmaker argued that the definition of harmful content is unclear and at this point subjective. He also questioned who gets to define what is harmful. And this ultimately reflects the opposition's fear that the new laws could be used to target them, making them very vulnerable to online political attacks. Now, NGOs and civil society groups have also expressed very similar concern over this vague definition of what harmful content is. They warn that the broad language could lead to the law being abused. They also caution that the bill might allow the government to manipulate content moderation system to perhaps censor critical speech, particularly from people opposing those in power.
And so, Akifar and voting line will follow up the passing of an online safety bill that will give authorities greater oversight over what is considered harmful content on the internet.
I tried for you guys.
I think this is like the main point of the news, harmful content for the safety of Malaysian. What do you think?
I think yes, I think harmful content because it can be also cyberbullying. So the Malaysia citizen, and that's why I think the main cause is harmful content if we didn't use the social media appropriately.
Yeah, I think because of that, it will like now there are a lot of cases like cyberbullying, suicide because of this harmful content. And based on the news, the government want to make the law more restriction.
I agree with you. And we proceed to harmful content. Social media can make the tragic case like cyberbullying and so on.
Yeah. So let's make the conclusion.
discussion. Groupmate discussion.
Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. I'm Minister of the Education, Dalila Diyanah Binti Daut. Thank you for joining us today. We're here to discuss a topic that affects nearly every teenager in Malaysia, which is social media. As the Minister of Education, I've seen how digital platforms have transformed the way our students learn, communicate, and even build their identities. But with these changes come serious concerns. Cyberbullying, online scams, and exposure to inappropriate content are becoming more common among students as young as 13. For example, last year, a 13-year-old boy from Selangor shared personal information online and became a victim of a scam, which affected him financially and emotionally. These incidents show that early access to social media can be risky. That's why the government is proposing a new policy to raise the minimum age for social media use from 13 to 16. This proposal has sparked debate, and today we will explore both sides of the issue.
Hi, Assalamualaikum everybody. Hi Minister, my name is Amni Najihah Binti Zolkefli. You can call me Amni, and I'm a representative from Institute of Teacher Education. As a student, I can say that social media is more than just entertainment, it's how we connect, learn and express ourselves. We follow educational pages, join study groups, watch tutorials, and even discover career path through platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. But I also understand the risk. Some of my classmates have faced cyberbullying, peer pressure, and anxiety because of what they see online. There are some cases where students have attempted to imitate dangerous viral challenges which cause injuries or health problems. So today we will discuss whether raising the age limit is there a solution, or if there are better ways to protect and educate young users like us. What is your opinion about social media?
Let me begin by sharing some facts. According to recent reports, Malaysia plans to use My Card or My Digital ID to verify users' age on social media platforms. This is part of a broader effort to protect young users from harmful content and online predators. We've seen cases where students were scammed, bullied, or exposed to disturbing material. For instance, a 14-year-old girl in Kuala Lumpur faced months of online harassment that affected her mental health and school performance. Her parents only discovered it late, highlighting the lack of awareness among families.
Oh, I see. I understand that. So, Minister, stories like that are very, very worrying. But simply banning social media for younger teens may not solve the problems. Like students are resourceful, some may create fake accounts or use their parents' devices. Instead that, I believe that digital education is very essential. I think we need to teach students not only the rules but also how to identify scams, handle peer pressure, manage screen times, and also respond to maybe cyberbullying.
That's a very point of view, but that not all students are emotionally ready to handle online interactions at 13 or 14. Exposure to cyberbullying, inappropriate content, or online comparison can affect their mental and emotional development. By raising the minimum age to 16 to use the social media, we give students more time to mature emotionally and better prepare them for the challenges of the social media.
Yes, I think I'm very agree with you, Mr. But I think social media is also an important educational tool. Like students can join study groups, watch tutorials, and learn about scholarships or career opportunities. Like if we block access completely, I think we may cut off valuable learning and creative outlets for students.
Exactly. That's why we need a balanced approach. It's not about banning social media forever to the others. It's about delaying access until students are ready to use the social media. Meanwhile, we can introduce digital literacy modules in school starting from year 6, teaching students how to use social media responsibly.
Yes, that's a great idea. And I think these modules should include practical exercises. Like, for example, students could analyze fake news posts, discuss scenarios of online harassment, and also simulate privacy settings management, or even role-playing handling viral challenges safely. I think this way students may experience real-life situations safely and also learn to make wise choices online.
Another point is the psychological effects. A 2023 UNICEF Malaysia report found nearly 1 in 5 teenagers experience anxiety or depression linked to social media usage. Early exposures can increase stress, encourage negative comparisons, and make students vulnerable to online bullying.
I completely agree. But this is why guided exposure is also vital. Instead of just restricting access, I think students also can gradually learn digital responsibility under supervision, which reduces risk and helps them develop resilience.
I think I can give some. Furthermore, social media companies themselves have a rule. Age restriction, content filters, and algorithm monitoring can reduce the likelihood of harmful content reaching young users. For example, France and Germany require age verification for certain platforms, which has helped reduce underage usage.
Yes, Mr. But I think we also need students' voices in designing these rules. We are the ones experiencing social media daily. I think a student advisory panel could maybe provide feedback on policy, maybe ensuring it works for the real needs of teens.
Really idea of you.
Yes.
And I think collaboration between government, schools, parents, and students is the key.
Yeah. Also, Minister, I want to maybe add some points. Consider screen time management. I think many students spend 4 to 6 hours online daily. Without guidance, this affects sleep, student habits, and also mental health. Responsible usage should be taught in school as a part of digital literacy.
Absolutely. Education must go beyond rules. It must teach critical thinking, empathy, emotional regulation, and responsible engagement online.
I agree with you. I also think parents often lack understanding of apps and social media trends. I think that a national awareness campaign for parents could teach them to support children safely online.
Yes, and workshops, online resources,
Yeah.
and interactive sessions could help parents and students work together to create a safe online environment.
Yeah, I'm completely agree with you. So, Minister, I think like teens are sometimes influenced by risky viral challenges. Teaching risk assessment and self-regulation online will help students make a safer choices.
And I think social media is not inherently that bad. It requires maturity, awareness, and guidance too. Raising the age, introducing education modules, and involving parents and students will prepare teens to use social media safely.
Yeah. I think, Minister, I also want to add that peer discussion in schools about online experience can help students realize they are not alone in facing cyberbullying or pressure. I think sharing stories safely builds a supportive digital culture. What do you think more?
I think that's a very good point of view, exactly what I mean it. And finally, the goal is not only restriction, it's preparation and empowerment. When students enter social media at 16, they should be confident, aware, and responsible digital citizens.
Finally, Minister, I think the future generation of students will demand transparency from social media companies. I think they want clear rules, safe environments, and also tools to protect themselves. I think by listening to these voices today, we are preparing them to lead the change tomorrow and for the future.
I think I also agree with your idea and your predict about the future just now. And our responsibility to equip students with knowledge, skills, and awareness so they can use digital tools responsibly. If we do this, the next decade of social media could be safer, smarter, and more empowering for Malaysian youth.
And also,
If they use social media wisely and responsibly.
what is your conclusion about our discussion?
Based on our discussion, here's what we propose. Raise the minimum age for social media use to 16 with proper digital IT verification. The second, introduce digital literacy and online safety education in schools starting from upper primary. And launch a national awareness campaign for parents and students. And create a student advisory panel to ensure youth voices are heard.
Yeah, exactly. For me, as a future educator, I think we believe that this balanced approach will help protect students while also empowering them with knowledge. I think it's not just about restriction, it's about responsibility. Together, we can build a safer and smarter digital future for Malaysian youth. I think as a spokesperson for today, I'm here to present for our final solution to the issue of social media risk among teenagers. After careful discussion with our Minister of Education, we propose a two-part national action plan. First, we support the government's proposal to raise the minimum age for social media use to 16. I think this will help protect younger users for cyberbullying, scam, and also harmful content. Age verification using my card or my digital ID will ensure the rule is enforced fairly. Second, we believe education is just as important as restriction. That's why we recommend introducing digital literacy models in school starting from year 6. These lessons will teach students how to stay safe online, manage screen time, and use social media responsibly. I think that if we implement this plan, it will not only reduce online risk, it will also empower students to become smart and confident digital citizens. Thank you.
Before we end our discussion, I think I want to open the Q&A session for the audience. And I want to ask, is there anybody who want to ask us question about our discussion just now?
I think that.
Oh,
Yes.
What do you want to ask?
Excuse me, can I ask a question? Why not just focus on education instead of raising the age limit?
Okay, I think for the answer is education alone is not enough. Some students are not emotionally ready to handle social media pressure. Raising the age allows them to mature while preparing them through education. It's a balanced approach. And is there anybody else?
Excuse me, can I ask a question? How will you make sure students benefit from digital literacy lessons?
For the answer for that question is, I think make lessons interactive with real life examples, discussions, role play and simulations. I think that is the answer for the two questions, and it's completely wise of full information. Thank you to the student representative for sharing such a thoughtful and courageous views on behalf of Nation Youth. I truly appreciate your suggestion, and I believe that collaboration between the ministry and students will lead to meaningful change. Thank you, student representative from Institute of Teacher Education.
Yes. I also want to say thank you for Minister for listening and valuing for voices and for our voices as a student. We are very grateful to be part of this important conversation, and we hope our ideas will help shape a safer digital future. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you for it, and let's meet again.
I hope we can meet again and discussing about this matter.